really know how to start it. I'll just keep recording. I'll walk into it. So. All right, we just finished this truck up here at the shop. It is a 2011 LML Duramax. Had a stock computer, still has the Allison in it as well with the A50 controller. So we swapped out the stock computer for a Motec computer, as well as swapped out the stock 12-volt control. I'm not sure what it's called in a Chevrolet, but in a Dodge, we call it a Tip-'em. So that thing's gone. So we took control of all the stuff we wanted to keep control of. We've got lights, we've got ignition, we've got entire control of the Allison computer, transmission rather, with our computer. We just wrapped it up, so it's about to get loaded on the trailer. We just did a few four-wheel drive launches out in the yard and made some cool rooster tails and stuff. So join me and we'll show you what we got here. All right, under the hood, it's got a Wagler built LML Duramax. So a stock-based block, a stock-based head motor. We've got an S&S fuel system, S&S injectors, the S&S firmware in our Motec. I'm not sure who made the turbo. He pulls on a class called 3.6 up in Canada. This is not a 3.6 spec. It's not a USA 3.6 spec truck, but it fits their rules. That's technically 3.6. So this is actually a 3.0 charger. We took control underneath the hood. We have control of the alternator, the entire engine, the fuel system. We have turbo shaft speed sensors. We have wideband. You can see the O2 sensor right here. So we've got wideband closed loop fueling control going on with it. We've got high pressure fuel, low pressure fuel sensor. We have the intercooler temp on the water is recorded. What else do we have going on here? Oh, we got all 8-cylinder EGT recorded. So you can get an overall EGT number that's fed into the dash, and you've also got all 8 cylinders recorded. We've got crankcase pressure recorded on the data logs. We've got boost and pressure recorded on the data logs. So the issue he was having with the old factory-based computer was basically once he took it from the horsepower level he was at before to the next horsepower level, his team, the guys he was working with, basically they ran into a brick wall and they couldn't go any further. The truck didn't want to act right. It wanted to defuel. It wanted to shift. It just didn't want to act right. So we met up with him at PRI and says, hey, I have this truck. I actually already tuned one of his other pull trucks, but he said, hey, I have this other truck. This is the issue. Do you think Motec will fix it? And I said, I've never done Motec with an Allison in a sled pull application, but we just did one on a 1947 Dodge that turned out perfect, and I think we can make it work. And we did. This thing turned out awesome. So no more defueling. The truck has no idea if it's in 4 low or not. You put it to the floor and the engine is trying to make horsepower until you tell it not to by letting off the throttle. All right, so forgive me here. This thing is not permanently attached. It's not actually attached to anything. It's just plugged in. So he's got bigger plans for this once he gets home. He wants to mount it into the dash and do some cool stuff. But for now, we've got it sitting right here. I want to show you guys, if you see the screen right here, I'll turn the running lights on. So I took over the factory headlight switch and we have control of the run lights. We have headlights. See, I tapped the brakes down there. We've got brake lights going off and on in the back. And then if I put it in reverse, the reverse lights come on. I'm gonna hit the mode button over here to change it to a different screen. There we go. So now we're looking at the main screen. We go from park to reverse to neutral. They didn't have a D option, so I put 6 there. And this thing actually is going to go straight to 4th gear, so I should change that to a 4. And we'll do another video with the truck running, showing the truck going through the actual gears. I just won't do it until it's running. But on this main screen, we have water temp, oil temp, transmission temperature in Celsius because he lives in Quebec, boost in PSI because that's what he asked for it in, oil pressure and fuel pressure in PSI because that's what he asked for, and EGT in Fahrenheit because that's what he asked for. And then on top of that, we have shift on the fly over here, which shift on the fly 0 is actually max power. If I press this button, it's got a down arrow on it. It circulates from shift on the fly 0, 1, 2, 3, and then back to 0. All right, so more than just the headlight switch, we've also taken over the factory ignition switch. It sounds silly, but I'm proud of this one. So it actually knows when the key is inserted, although I don't have that doing anything. When you turn the power on, we have power on, right? And if you look at the ignition on right here, so we have the difference of ignition on or off, and all that does with the Motec is actually disable the injectors. So, and we also have start. So while we're here, I'll show you guys the gearing. So it's in park, reverse, that still says 0. Neutral, that says 0. But now he wants to pull and drive. So the next one down, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it stays there. So now it's in 4, and it'll stay there down the whole track. At the end of the track, when the sled hits and you dig a hole, right, and you want to get out of that hole, fourth gear is kind of annoying to try to get out of that hole, right? So when you want, you can back up, take the tension off the chain, and pull it all the way down to 1, and then you've got all the way in first gear. When you want to put it back in a regular gear to pick up some speed to get back to the pits, back to drive, it's going to be stuck in 1 now, hold on. Go back to neutral, then drive. Now we've got 4th gear. And on top of that, lockup right here, it won't do anything because I have it set to not come on below 20 pounds of boost or 3,500 RPM. But the driver, when they're going down the track and they want lockup, will grab that button. And I lied, it does lock. Locks the converter. I guess I gotta go back and save that file. So below 20 pounds of boost and 3,500 RPM, that's not supposed to work. So I'll go back and fix that. I'm glad I just tried that before I sent them all the way to Canada like that. So another thing we have working here, besides our screen and our headlight switch and our ignition switch, is our ECU Masters keypad over here. There's a couple different functions we have. We actually thought we'd have too many buttons, but we only ended up with 1 left over. So from the top, we have lockup. When you turn that on, it's not supposed to lock below 3,500 RPM and 20 pounds of boost, so I've got to go back and fix that real quick. Outside of that, it's a manual override for the intercooler pump. I don't know if you just heard that turn on or not. So that turns off and on. When I say manual override, the ECM automatically kicks on the intercooler pump under certain parameters. I think I have it set to 10 psi of boost and like 2,000 RPM. It just automatically comes on. And then you have your transmission fans. Manual override, those also automatically come on under a set of parameters in the Motec. And then your radiator fans, which are behind me here, those also come on automatically, but these 3 buttons are manual overrides at the customer's request. On top of that, we have the ability to turn the ignition or the tune down. We opted to have it turned all the way up as default, and they wanted to be able to turn it down, so that's how it's set up. And then the mode switch goes to the PMU output, and you see if I turn something on, like the intercooler pump, it tells us the voltage, the amperage that draws exactly. So that pulls 63 amps at startup for the radiator fan and goes down to 30, and we have all those on here. On top of that, see, we did the mode, we did the down. Oh, we got one more. We just learned this one today and had to do it at very last minute, but apparently GMs have a electronic lock or a 4-wheel drive collar in the front end, and when you put it in 4-wheel drive normally on a normal truck, it slides the collar over. Well, we had to take control of that with the PMU, so we did that. Basically, it's locked at all times. So if they don't touch it, it's locked. And so for the purposes of driving around the parking lot, loading up, whatever they want to do, they can unlock it. But basically the way they want to go into the sled pull is with all this color, purple, which is the theme of the truck, and the driver rides down the track with her finger over the lockup button, and when lockup feels appropriate, you grab it and it pulls the motor down. What's cool is, once I fix it, at the end of the track, all she's got to do is hold it to the floor, and once the sled hits and pulls this thing down below a set RPM or a boost threshold, it'll unlock that converter. All right, so good talking point here while we're talking about this. We set up a computer for this fella here, and I asked him to get a computer that had a port just like that on it and not have one of these, but the stores, he went to multiple stores, right? Apparently they're getting harder to find these days. So we order our computers, Lenovo's, off the internet, straight from them. If you can get if you're gonna do Motec stuff, this is the connection. It's a Cat 5 cable, Cat 6, whatever it's called. So if you're gonna do the Motec stuff, you really wanna have a direct connection to your computer with one of these and not one of these. Sometimes they work okay, but more often than not, they're a pain in the butt. All right, so here's the Motec M1 Tune software. I had the settings on the lockup set up so I could test it earlier, and I'm actually very glad that goofed up. So we're gonna go ahead and set the minimum parameters. I had it set to -1 on engine speed and 0 on boost pressure. So instead of -1 on engine speed, I'm gonna set that to 3,500 RPM, and I'm gonna say 20 pounds of boost because there's no reason to have lockup on if it's pulling the motor down like that. So those two things are set in. Okay, so see the screen? We're gonna go. That's how that's supposed to work. But the driver, when they're going down the track and they want lockup, will grab that button. And I lied, it does lock. All right, final touches before we put this thing on the trailer. Earlier in the video, I talked about the way the display was set up. I saw some stuff I wanted to change, so check this out. All right, before I start it, so we got park, reverse, neutral. Instead of saying 6, I made it say 4, because that's the gear ratio we want it to go in when it's in 4th gear, or when it's in drive. They didn't have a D option, so I put 6 there. And then at the end of the track, when they want to be able to drive out of the hole they've dug, they've got first. So let's do it while it's running so we can see the gear indicator down here working too. Park, reverse, neutral. Now watch this one right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's ready to pull. So you do your pull, you do your business. You want to get out of the hole at the end of the track, you pull it down into 1. And she goes into 1. You get out of the hole, put it back into park, put yourself back in 2-wheel drive, and then you can drive back to the pits in high gear like that. Pretty cool stuff.